Hello everyone, this is my absolute first episode in this podcast, Oss Diskutere, which is the Norwegian form for Let Us Discuss. It is really cringy as hell to introduce myself to you guys. My name is Asham Alwani. I'm a Syrian refugee in Norway. I live in the lovely, rainy city of Bergen. Although I'm a physician, but I'm extremely interested in several other fields. Anyhow, one might ask why I started this podcast and why it is in English rather than Norwegian, for example. Well, to answer the first question, I like to talk a lot and I like podcasts. So what the hell? Why not having my own podcast? Now I chose English because you can reach more people speaking English even here in Norway. But there are gonna be some Norwegian episodes every once in a while. Now, without further ado, Oss Diskutere vilje. Cambridge Analytica and the illusion of free will. I wrote this text exactly a year ago, October 2019. In an attempt to fight the boredom of a Friday night, and like any simple person in the 21st century, I went to Netflix, who had kindly suggested a documentary that was new at the time. It was called The Great Hack. I highly recommend this documentary along with the new Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma. Basically, both documentaries can be categorized under the same category, at least in my opinion. The Great Hack mainly talks about the scandal of Cambridge Analytica, the famous data collection and analysis company that was involved in the previous US elections 2016, in addition to the British referendum to leave the European Union, Brexit. The famous scandal is related to the enormous amounts of data which the company was able to collect from millions of citizens in the US and Britain based on their personal accounts on Facebook. The company then used the data to target citizens with psychologically studied media materials. These materials differ from one person to another. What I see as a suggested video is different than what you see. But in general, all the materials aim to push the targeted sample in a specific direction in the elections being held, Trump in the US case, and the vote in favor of leaving the European Union in the British case. Of course, Cambridge Analytica's activity was not limited to these two cases. The documentary provides confessions of some former employees of the British data company confirming its involvement in several countries worldwide. Let us take Trinidad and Tobago as an example. "40% of the country's population are Africans. And also around 40% as well are Indians. How can you guarantee the success of your Indian candidate in such close percentages?" Cambridge Analytica targeted the young generation of Africans with a rebellion campaign called Do So, which was symbolized by the sign of African resistance represented by crossed forearms. Basically, it's the Wakanda salute. This campaign was known at the time as a resistance campaign against politicians and elections. Cambridge Analytica exploited the spirit of rebellion of the youth, who personally, without knowing of course, contributed to the spread of this campaign everywhere, on the internet, in songs, in soap operas, on walls in every street. As a result, lots of Africans abstained from voting, which led to the victory of the Indian candidate by only 6%, which is actually more than enough. It would be really naive to neglect the impact of visual media materials on our decisions when we know that Donald Trump's election campaign in 2016 spent 5.9 million US dollars on visual ads on Facebook alone, while Hillary Clinton's campaign spent only $66,000. The British journalist Carol Cadwalder, or I don't know, her last name is actually not easy to pronounce, but anyhow, Carol went in a long-term fight with Cambridge Analytica over the issue of the Brexit referendum. She raises one of the most important questions of this era. Will there ever be free and fair elections after the era of Facebook, Twitter, Google, and Amazon? Visual advertisements, which lasts for only a few seconds, are able to change people's decisions or even create entirely new decisions and beliefs. Yuval Harari talked immensely about that in his books, both Homo Deus and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. With that in mind comes the idea of how our decisions and beliefs are affected by everything we read, listen to, or see in our day-to-day life, whether it is a small decision or life's greatest ones, from the color of my t-shirt to religion and human values. When a person says, "This is my free choice," how free is it actually? To what extent was I free to choose to study medicine, for example? Yeah, I was the one who filled the application, but a dozen of societal, economic standards and a long list of other factors were actually behind that decision. If you can sit now for 5 minutes and think about any major decision you had in this year, how free you actually were making these decisions. In practice, it's not easy, if I don't want to say impossible, to isolate the influence of external factors from our free will. Does that deny the existence of free will in the first place? Thank you very much for listening. Ha det gott.